Hi, friends. This week, I'm not going to be painting. It's been a very rough week, and I'll tell you what's been happening. So, we're going to talk about what's happened, how it's affected me, and show you what I made because I've basically, because it's been so stressful, I went into my kind of comfort zone of the things I like to paint just so I had something to do while I was waiting for health updates. So what's been happening is, I mentioned in my last video that my entire family had the norovirus and also that my dogs were a bit under the weather. And I have two dogs, they're brothers, um, and it's not unusual for them to kind of both, if something happens, it tends to happen to both. Usually, when they've been a little bit under the weather, it's just because they've eaten something they can't take or something like that. But this time, it was a bit more. So I'll start with me, I guess. I have something that's called chronic migraines. It's the reason I'm disabled, which still feels odd to say. I used to work in a very high pressure job. I did that for over 10 years. And then the migraines spiraled out of control, um, to the point where it was just a constant migraine, like every day. I've been getting all kinds of professional help for it. It's been something that they've taken very seriously. Now, the treatment that I'm on is Botox every 10 weeks. Um, And it's not what you might think with it being just like a beauty regimen thing. Botox is an intensely good medication for people who need it for that. So they give me injections all around my skull, every nerve ending. It's like my forehead, I'm not sure what you call tinnings in, I know it's not tonsils, but and the back of my head and also my neck and shoulders. Now, when I get that, that alleviates it. It doesn't take it away, but it makes it more manageable. I tend to be on around 20 migraine attacks a month now with that medication. I've been lucky enough to try a lot of all the other medications out there, but they haven't really worked well for me. And there's also some I can't take because of other illnesses. Um, but I'm getting my Botox again tomorrow. So the last week before getting my injections, I'm very sick. I tend to have a lot more days in bed, being bedridden, not being able to stand noise or anything. But this week I've been a little bit more fortunate than most of the time. And that might be because we had a crisis with one of our dogs. And I'm sure people who watch this who have a chronic pain disorder will be able to recognize the fact that sometimes we can push through. It tends to give us a bad time afterwards, but we're able to push through when something's happening. So I've been not at my best, but managing. So back to the dogs, or this might be rambly. I've been very, very fortunate as a parent. I have two kids. They're now young teenagers. To not have had many health scares with them. It's they've always been mostly healthy. But like I said, my dogs were a little bit under the weather. So my oldest dog um, was better again, uh, but he was being very careful around my youngest dog. And we noticed that our youngest dog didn't have a fever, didn't have visible pain, didn't have any kind of very big points to something being very wrong. But he didn't want to eat much, so we bought canned food because he likes that, and he ate canned food. But then he stopped drinking, which is generally not good. So we brought him to the vet. My husband brought him to the vet, and the first lab results were really bad. They thought he had kidney failure. So they did a bunch more tests. I was at home I don't know what it's like in most countries, but at least here, when you have a dog that has to go to the vet and they have to stay there, you don't stay with your dog. If your kids are in the hospital, you stay with your kids, but you don't do that with your dog. So we were kind of just walking around waiting for more information. They gave him loads of antibiotics, nausea medication, and a lot of fluids. When we came to get him later that evening, because he spent like the full day getting fluids and medication, things weren't really improving. He was still, it was like he wasn't using the liquids that they'd given him. It wasn't absorbing. So we went back the next day for another day of getting intravenous fluids and medications. And at the end of that day, things were still not really improving, but they could rule out kidney failure. They ruled out him having eaten something poisonous. There was nothing in his system when they x-rayed him apart from like he was constipated, which is fairly normal when you're dehydrated, right? Because you can't get fluid. So the end of the day on Friday, also there's been holidays in Norway. I'm pretty sure there's been holidays in a lot of countries now, but we've had like a bank holiday or a holiday from Friday to today. Today is the first day that things are back to normal. No, yesterday, sorry. Again, I'm confused because of everything that's going on. But end of day at the vets on Friday, they decided, okay, there's a test we haven't taken, and that's for something called Addison's disease. So they ran the tests to find out if it's that. They have to give the dog cortisone. I don't know how to say it in English. Cortisone. It's a hormone. And they gave him that, ran the tests again, and we finally got an answer to what was going on. He has Addison's disease, which is an autoimmune disease, and it makes something in Norwegian is called binyrene, the bikidneys, not function. It doesn't produce the things they're supposed to produce. So we were able to buy just loads of medication. He's on a lot of different medications now because he has inflammation as well. So he's on antibiotics. He's on nausea medication, and he's on a steroid to help him. And it's helped. It has helped. So yesterday, when things opened again, I've been spending most of the day putting in the stuff for the insurance because we have pet insurance, luckily, because this was very expensive. It's probably going to max out the insurance, not right now, but he has to keep getting cortisone shots. And we have to go back to the vet very regularly to find out what level of medication he needs to be on. But through this, oh, he's dreaming. I can hear small yaps. Through this, I haven't wanted I mean, I haven't wanted him to be alone, not even like alone, because he's never alone. He always has his brother. But it's just been a strain, and it's odd. And I know people might think, okay, it's just a dog. Why worry? It's not just a dog. We've had him for 4 years. We've had his brother for 6. My kids have grown up with him. It's been crazy. So basically, what I've been waiting for updates from the vet, because it's been full days with no updates, and then waiting throughout the weekend to see if he would get better, because a Addison crisis, which is what he had, can be lethal because it happens so quickly and so massively. So when you read that and you understand that, okay, this can be lethal, it's terrifying. And when he came home on Friday, he was still so sick, even though he'd gotten on the right medication. And knowing that you had to spend like from Friday until Tuesday, because nothing is open. Now, our vet was very kind. She gave us her personal number so we would be able to call her if we needed. And then kind of the intense relief of seeing him get better. So it's been a hefty week, and I haven't been able to like concentrate on finding out what kind of a video I want to make or do a painting in the video. So I'll just show you what I've been doing while I've been waiting for updates. And like I say, I have a comfort zone as an artist or an amateur artist. And my comfort zone is paint-based, I guess. My favorite kind of just relax paints are the Schmincke supergranulating paints. So I've been using pretty much only them. So this is what I painted that first day when I was waiting for updates, when we didn't know what was wrong. And I didn't think it was serious, because it was one day of not wanting to drink and no fever. Like, I thought if he has an infection, he should have a fever. And then I found a wound in his mouth, and I was pretty sure, okay, so this is the reason he has a wound in his mouth. It hurts. He doesn't want to drink. We'll just show the vet that and get some antibiotics or painkillers. But no. So I felt dumb. And yeah. But okay. So this is when I was waiting for updates. I found a painting, a picture, photo of Sleeping Kitty, and I used only 2 colors for this, and this is the Tundra Orange in the back here, which I don't have the pigment codes in front of me, but I think it's a mix of a raw sienna and a potter's pink. And then I had the Tundra Violet, which is one of my favorite colors. It goes absolutely crazy. And you see, it's a lot of the same mix. Again, since I don't have them in front, the pigment coats in front of me. If you see the brown here, I believe, just from looking at it, that it's very close to the raw sienna. And it's probably because most of these paints are a ultramarine mix. I'm gonna guess that's what they are. So only those 2 colors. To make the white highlights, I just used what I had in front of me easy, which was the Neo Color 1. And then, it's not a fine point or anything, but it's a cat. A cat can be fussy. Neo Color 1 and a white Jelly Roll for these ones here, and everything else is those 2 paintings. So second day of wondering, oh, I should probably mention this one. The cat is made on this paper, Fabriano number 5. I am not entirely sure of the price range because I was given this pad, but it's a 50% cotton. It's super nice to paint on. It takes, I don't know if you can see the lines here. A lot of paint, please focus. Thank you. Trying to focus. A lot of paints will have issues. Not a lot of paints, a lot of paper can have issues with the tape. And if a paper has issues with the tape, it will also have issues with masking fluid. And while I haven't used masking fluid in these paintings, I like knowing that my paper can be an all-rounder and take that. So I'm pretty sure this paper will take masking fluid well. So this is a rough paper, and I really enjoy rough papers. It's harder to get your lines crisp, but I really enjoy rough papers. Also, I was asked on Reddit about doing fur. So this is just a quick one to show you guys. This is from Jackson's. It's called a comb foliage, which is a very apt name for it. It's badger, fake badger. So it's a very stiff brush. If you use this very dry, if you make this too wet, you won't get the results you want. But if you use this very dry, and I would say usually with a thicker consistency of paints, you will get these lines. And absolutely usable for foliage, but also very usable for fur. So second day of waiting, I wanted a bigger project to keep my mind off things. And on my phone, I found this old photo. I think I took it a year plus ago. And we were walking in a place called Voss, which is a bit away from where I live, but I tend to take my daughters there. And we came upon this old beetle, and I love beetles and I love painting beetles. So I took a photo, and this is the first weekend I've been able to kind of use that one. So again, this is pretty much only done with the Schmincke paints. The car is deep sea green and some deep sea blue mixed together. Everything else is, apart from the sky, I also think is deep sea blue. This, everything else is mixes from the forest sets and a little bit of Vulcan brown, some, I think, another Schmincke paint that I bought on clearance called Terra Pasuli, which is an earth pigment. And then what else did I use here? I only used stuff from this tin, which I apologize for it being dirty, but these are the supergranulating paints. And then I have some Primatech paints, and then I have just some other both loose Schmincke paints and a couple of Lucas. And the Lucas paints are underrated. So this is my kind of granulating palette, and I need to make a better color chart for it because it used to just be a few colors. Like I used to just have a smaller palette and this, and then I started expanding, and I haven't made a proper color chart yet, so I have to do that. So yeah, just these paints. The only other things I've used a silver paint marker around the doors because I was tired and kind of burned out. And when I'm stressed, my hand gets very shaky. So using a small brush for details when I'm that stressed it's just not a good thing. It destroys more than it helps. So I think it's an Edison silver paint marker, almost empty, but able to use it. And because I didn't want to go get another tin of watercolor that had not granulating colors, the back headlight, not headlight, the back, English words, the back one is made from Faber-Castell Albrecht Dürer markers because it was easy. I had them. These bigger paintings are made on this. It's Hahnemuhle Expression. In Norway, you can get this paper very cheaply, and considering the fact that it's 100% cotton, it's very inexpensive. However, this paper is very soft. It doesn't do well with masking fluid. It doesn't really do well with painter's tape. I'm not sure if you can see it. Now, the edges here, they haven't frayed, but they have been a bit messed up by the paint. Sometimes the edges will fray completely, and it's not problematic to say it like that. You can put this in a frame and no one will see that, but I don't like it. I want, like I said, I prefer like a full paper that I can use for everything. And the first time I bought a pad of this, that paper could take masking fluid. And maybe I was just very lucky with that pad, but none of the other ones have been able to do it. And because I was lucky with the first pad, I bought a big pad and several small ones. So then when my dog came home and he was improving, I needed another project just to keep, I don't know, I wasn't that stressed anymore, but I think it was just kind of keeping myself focused because my husband had to do a lot of, I mean, he had to work outside of the house like people usually do. And I wanted the dogs to be around me and close to me. So sitting downstairs, being with them, having a project was a better way of focusing than kind of just watching TV, which doesn't tend to help me. I tend to get more stressed out. I found the photo that I used as a reference from this on a Facebook group. That's the name exactly, I can't remember, but if you want reference photos, search for free reference photos for artists. And this is a group where we share photos we've taken ourselves, and you can use them for your art as a reference. It's kind of good form to when you've used a photo to show the painting you've done and tag the photographer. But there's no other expectations. So you get so many photos and you can feel safe using them. And after having painted the beetle, I really wanted to keep painting some kind of rusty cars. And for some reason, I searched for tractors in there and I found this, and it was such a kind of nice, more old-fashioned thing because I grew up in a part of Norway that's very farm heavy. And this kind of reminded me of that. It reminded me of all those fields. So again, everything here is from by granulating tin. So the sky is mostly forest gray. And when you use forest gray kind of watered down, you get this odd blue, greenish, somewhat yellow tinted color. And I really enjoy that. And then I added some tundra blue on the more blue parts here. Background, mountain, forest, whatever, is in tundra blue. Everything else is kind of a mixture of different colors. There's tundra orange in here. There's forest green, forest brown. The tractor I remember is Vulcan red. And I should have evened this out more, you know. I should have done more betting that and tried to layer, but my head wasn't really on, and I just wanted to enjoy myself. So this can be made a lot softer. This is very hard compared to what I would usually do. But it is what it is. A lot of Vulcan brown in the ground on the wheels. You can get that pretty dark, the Vulcan brown. Also, from the Primatech colors, I know that I used a lot of Piemontite Genuine on the kind of tilled earth. A lot of just trying to add in textures. Sometimes when you only use granulating colors, it will be a bit too much. And I didn't feel like it was too much in the background, but I did get to the point here where it was a little bit difficult to paint and deal with. So I broke out my little friend to make some textures. Hay, when hay gets chopped, you always have a small stick up parts. To do that, and some white gouache to do some highlights. And that's kind of been it. So I still feel a bit confused and a bit drained, and I'll probably feel that way for a little while because it's been such an emotional kind of a roller coaster, and also with it happening when I'm at the end of my Botox injections when I need to get new ones because I'm not well at that point. But painting, while I've been kind of worrying, has helped a lot. So that's been my week. I hope most of you have had a nicer time. And next week, I don't know when I'll be putting out videos because I'm getting the injections. Tomorrow I tend to be, I get swollen, I get in a lot of pain after the injections for a few days. So we'll see. But I wish you all have a wonderful week. I'm doing a lot better knowing that my dog is fine. I'm worrying, but that's just being a person. Okay, bye, friends.